Hi, my name's Gary Cole and you're listening to the Football Coaching Life, a podcast brought to you by Football Coaches Australia and Making Media, the podcast professionals. We're honoured today to have current Sydney A-League's women's head coach, Ante Juric, with us. Ante is also the head coach of Sydney Olympic in the New South Wales Premier League, and I think that might be a first for us. Currently active coach in men's and women's football. We've spoken to people coaching men's football, people coaching women's football, but I think you might be the first, mate. So congratulations on that bit, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. I actually get a bit of stick for that. I don't know why, but yeah, it's busy, but it's worked thus far.
Yeah, look, we'll talk about that, I'm sure, about if there are any differences in doing that. Let's get you introduced properly, and then we'll get the show on the road, so to speak. So Ante's football journey, I think where he fell in love with football was at Canberra Deakin in Canberra, also played at the AIS, then played the best part of 400 professional games in Canberra, down here in Melbourne with Melbourne Knights and Faulkner, Sydney Olympic, off to Portugal for a short period of time, Canberra Cosmos, RPA Leichhardt and the NSL, Sydney Olympic, where probably you had your first real good taste of success, some time in Norway with Mold, and then into Malaysia for a couple of stints with Johor and Pahang, and then back to Australia where I think you finished with a premiership or a championship with Sydney United in Sydney. And then, of course, coaching. Initially, I think, and I'll be interested to see how this goes because I know you're a teacher and we spoke about that offline, but at Westwood Sports High School, Trinity Grammar for 5 years with NSWIS, and then, of course, assistant coach with Sydney FC as the assistant, and then Australian under-14s coach. I'm keen to talk to you about that because I'm not sure that team exists anymore. National Women's TD for a few years, assistant with the Matildas with Stadge, under-17, under-19 women's coach, and head coach of Sydney FC now since about 2017. 4 grand finals in a row, couple of championships, a few premierships along the way. 5, sorry, mate, my apologies. Remarkable CV and both playing and coaching. Welcome, Ante Juric.
Thanks so much. That's when you said all the teams, it's like it's funny. I'm very loyal, but there's a million teams there. What happened in the old days, and you probably know maybe yours, where you play for NSL, then in the off season you play for 3 months for a bit of money. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone trying to make a living being a full-time player and coach.
Especially the early days.
Was Canberra Deakin? I actually played a one season with them when Tom Samani was the coach, and I was assistant with Ronnie Smith at the AIS. But a very famous football club in Canberra. Obviously, you're a son of that football club. The Zelic brothers were there. Josip Simonic, Joseph Simonic was there as well. So, a proud old club in Canberra.
Yeah, George Kolskar was there as well. So he's an international.
That's right.
There's a few that came through. I actually started locally, so just my area. It's called Tuggeranong. Until about 12 or 13. And then Canberra Croatia was always the biggest club in sort of Canberra at the time. Very strong. The senior team was always in the NPL, the New South Wales NPL, so they'd always go across. So it was always a pathway for the kids. But yeah, I went across, I think, about 14s. Funny enough, my first year across, they put me in Division 2. So there was 2 teams, and they picked me in Division 2. A week later, the guy goes, "No, go in Division 1." And I'm stubborn now, and I was like, "Nah, don't worry about it. I'm staying in Division 2." So I stayed. It was weird, but great times. Canberra was great times.
Yeah, great club, well supported. So, and then through obviously playing in some senior football there, got picked at the AIS.
Yes, I was lucky. I played senior football early. Like I said, even the New South Wales Premier League at 16 or 17. And from that, we were lucky as well. AIS used to bring in some players. So Ron Smith, Rocky O'Connor brought us in. So when they needed numbers, and then I actually got a scholarship there for about 5 months. I could have stayed in, but obviously being from Canberra, I only stayed, I think, 3 months in the December period. But yes, I was at AIS and played a little bit there. But it wasn't like a 2-year scholarship. It was the back end of mine, but it's still there.
Wonderful place. Early times, learning about the game as a young player.
Oh, it's phenomenal. It's the coaches were second to none. The environment second to none. You can do, you don't have to do your weights obviously, but you got your gym inside there where you got the walls. You have the back walls where you go by yourself. It's just so. If you love football, that's the place to be. and you got like-minded people. So it was surreal. Yeah, it really was, and a high standard, and just made you better. Yeah.
Ante, do you think, I know there's pros and cons with all of these things, but do you think our game's poorer for the fact that program doesn't run anymore for men or women?
Oh, that's without saying. Yeah, I was again, I don't want to get too much into it. I was actually at FFA when they made the decision, and I was probably the only one who had a bit of a background who fought against it. It probably hurt me in the long run. Again, not getting too much, but I fought against it and said it's the wrong thing. And obviously, people, high above made that decision. But it was Tony Vidmar as well. The poor guy was trying to fight for it. He was obviously a coach at the time. People that didn't know football or didn't know the importance of it just made decisions and got rid of it. It's sad. So it made so many players, or helped many players. Not maybe made, but helped guide.
Yeah, it is quite remarkable. I was in Canberra a month ago and caught up with Ronnie Smith for dinner, and you can't help but have a walk down memory lane, and you just start to talk about the players that have been through the program. And, it was arguably one of the best football finishing schools in the world at the time, the golden generation. So many of them went through it, and before and after. So, it's I have to admit, I still think there could be a place for that. And I think it's an issue that's solved by money. But anyway, that's an argument.
Not that much anyway, isn't it? I think the government used to fork out a lot. So anyway, let's see.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, who knows what the future holds? Yeah. So you're one of our smart cookie coaches. You've got degrees. You've got a master's degree as well. You're a well-educated coach as well as your coaching qualifications. So, are you a football coach because you were a teacher? You're a teacher because you were that was a part of who you were. How did you get into teaching and then into coaching?
Oh, it's interesting. I just remember I did a sports science degree when I was younger, so 21, 22. And I finished that human movement. I think it was 4 years. And around 28, so I'm still playing. And then I was professional. I started thinking, okay, I haven't made a lot of money out of this. I've got to think what to do. And then I thought, biomechanics, which is what I did. I was sort of out of that system for 7 years. And it's you need to be quite smart for that. And I thought, no, I haven't done it for 7 years, so I need to do something else. And I thought about teaching. I'm sort of natural. I love children. I love doing that. I think I lead and help people well. So I just thought that's perfect. And I only had to do another year distance. So I did that while I was playing. And then as soon as I stopped around 32, I started teaching. I think Westfields might have been the first, 6-month block, and then went to Trinity. Yeah. So that's how I started. So it's sort of always there. Again, I was lucky I did a degree early on and then just backed it up.
Yeah. Did you start your coaching licenses towards the end of your career?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did actually. It was a lot easier then. I think we went on a 2 days to get a B and a C, and you went there and hung around and played a bit, and you got it. So it's quite intense now, but different. But yeah, I did start early. I think it was probably when I was 30 or something. Yeah, so maybe back in the career. But I always enjoyed it. Always wanted to do something like that. I always thought I'd end up that way if I could, So yeah.
I think I've read somewhere in doing the research here that you talked about yourself as a thinking kind of a player, and that you were a natural leader on and off the field. So do you think that it's that sort of affinity that draws you into the world of coaching?
Yeah, it is, but I love football. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
I love it, and not to have it in my life, I don't know what I'd do. So next best thing outside of playing, I was thinking about it today, actually. Had some kids and just thinking, nothing beats playing because it's your there. But coaching is very different, but it's rewarding as well. So you love the game. You've got people around who love the game. You're trying to help them. So I get a lot of satisfaction from that. So yeah, really, it just came about because I love it. I wouldn't do it if I didn't like it. And then because I'm naturally, I don't know if I'm a leader, but I lead, positively. And I coach how I play. This sounds probably stupid, but because I was the captain of the team, I always used to be able to get the team together, get rid of the cancers or know the cancer. You knew who was what have you, get the boys when we're down. So I don't know, it just came naturally to me. And yeah, so I was like a helping kind of person. That helps me, and that's exactly the way I coach. Same kind of mindset. Obviously, you need the tactics, but same mindset. That's the same way I teach. Yeah.
So was Westfield Sports High the first coaching opportunity that you had?
Yeah, I think it was. Now I think back, yeah, because I went there as a teacher. I did a block, and then I coached a little bit. I think it was Alana Kennedy I had, which is pretty crazy, in year 7. Musti Amini was there, I think year 8. I've got a funny story about it if you want to hear it, but
love to.
Yeah, but Musti used to come to me at recess, and you'd get a slip, and you have to do, for example, pick up 50 papers and get it signed from the teacher on recess. And he'd always come to me, and I'd sign it. He didn't pick up anything, so I signed it and just did it. Anyway, that's the story. He was a cheeky. So 6 months, yeah.
Looking back on where you're at now on your coaching journey, how important for you was that first opportunity at Westfield High to get out on the grass and start to learn?
Yeah, it's huge. It's I learned the most from teaching and being thrown into it. Because I never had any other experience. I just got my licenses or whatever you do, your certificates, and was thrown in here to teach these kids. And they run amok, so you got to how to deal with them, how to talk to them, how to persuade them, how to set it up so it's already there, no time in between so they can lose it. So I learned so much there in that Trinity in terms of that. It's not that my Sydney FC girls do that, but it does. You learn on the run. You learned on the run.
Yeah. So on both your playing and your coaching journey, who had the most, which coach or coaches had the most influence on you as a player and also as a coach?
Oh, it's a difficult one because I learn a lot of myself, how it sounds stupid or what I saw. So as a player, so I love Frank Rijkaard. So I watched, he's trying to mimic Ned Zelic. I tried to copy. He's only 3 or 4 or 5 years older, but I watched him as a 15-year-old and saw him come out of Canberra. So I tried to, and I was good at it, probably seeing good players and picking up that. The coaches I liked were Tom Simoni was my Canberra coach, and the first, but then he left. I like respectful people. He had belief in you. That kind of nature got the best out of me. And Branko Chelina was a different one. He was really smart. He was intense, but he was an excellent coach as well. But everyone had something. I won't say one person really pushed me. It was myself, but I used to take things. I was driven in my own mind anyway. So everyone helped in their own way, but I also decided what I knew was best for me within the team environment. Yeah. And then I use that as a coach now too. So I picked bits from everywhere.
Yeah. If I can take you back, you were talking about Tom Simoni being one of the coaches at Canberra Deakin there. And,
he was so he's the first one actually. He probably won't even remember this. Sort of brought me up into the first grade, like trainings and a few of those things. He wasn't there the year after. I think he actually went to Olympic. So he's the first one that brought me up, gave me that opportunity as a youngster. But someone like him, automatically I resonated with. He's a gentleman, wanted the best for you. He did things in a, again, gentlemanly way, but he pushed you, he'd help you with his words. So someone like that I do like, but in saying that, I also grew up with tough, let's say, Croatian coaches who told you how it is. And I didn't care. I dealt with it. So, but then I also, as a person growing up, I was like, okay, I can handle the abusive kind of coach and the soft one. What's better? Then I just figured out I'm pretty good with people, I think. And you'd figure out, all right, not everyone can accept certain things. You've got to do it in a certain way. So it just made me think, having different coaches, different styles. And again, I probably overthink, but it's helped me, overthinking, I guess, in a coaching way.
Probably a good time to ask you about, you coach, as we said, Sydney Olympic in the New South Wales Premier League, and you coached Sydney for 5 years now, 5 grand finals. Do you have to adapt your coaching to men or women? Is there any difference in the way you go about it, or is it you coach high performance players and that works the way you deliver it?
The answer is yes and no, and by that I'll tell you in a second. Like if I coached kids, male kids, I'd coach them different. You know what I mean? If I coached an NPL team that struggled and technically wasn't good, I'd coach them different. So yes and no. So my girls are, they're girls. Obviously, they're emotionally different. So I'll coach them a different way. Technically, they're improving. They're not the maximum, so I'll coach them a different way and try and make sure they improve. Tactically same. The boys, are probably a little bit tougher at times, but again, soft with certain people. So yes and no, but not because it's women and men. Not at all. I'm quite tough on my girls. I'll have to drop them when I have to. I'll tell them they got to hit passes when I have to. But I think they respect that because they know you are trying to make them better. But yes or no. No, because it's nothing to do with males and females or age. It's to do with who you got, the abilities, capabilities, their personalities and stuff like that. So it's a tough one to answer, but that's the answer.
No, mate. I really like it, and I think it just shows that at the end of the day, if you're going to be a great coach or a great teacher, you need to know who the people are you're working with. They need to be able to trust you, and they need to genuinely believe that you can help them to get better individually and collectively. And if you can do that, then I think you've got a great opportunity, as you've done, to take people on a wonderful journey. Where they can achieve success individually and success as a team. So all power to you, mate. All power to you. All right. So then what is coaching?
Yeah, I guess it's teaching for me. I don't know how to answer that. A lot of people have got different words, different things. For me, coaching is trying to help people get forward. And again, yes, it's a win-lose thing there. And again, I was so competitive when I played. I wanted to win. But the older I got and when I stopped, it was like, and these 4 grand finals, I'll explain it that way too. So what is coaching? You're trying to make players better and trying to succeed. But how do you gain success or get success? Because some of those grand finals, we've made one error and you've lost the grand final. There's a season. Is that successful or not? Some teams have done well and unfortunately had 2 or 3 injuries and they're out, yet they probably are the best team. So that's why I just base it on, for me, with the girls, our success comes from, as long as you work as hard as you possibly can, try and learn, try and listen. And for me as a coach, that's what you're trying to do, is lead and teach them about that. But it's tough because that's my theory of it. Again, usually when you work hard and do the right things, you get success and hopefully win. But my aim is not to win. Like, it sounds really stupid, doesn't it? It's to do the other things, and then I know winning comes with it usually. But I've lost grand finals and things where you shouldn't have lost, and the gods have told you you're going to lose, but you were better. How do you? It's difficult as a player where you put everything in. Fans see a win-loss, but you've given everything. So what can you do? You've got to have that understanding, I think.
I've got a Melbourne Victory cap here under the table, and I'm not going to pour that on. But they've won the last 2 championships, and my memory is not good enough to remember a year ago. But the one that's just gone past, I think if you look at the data and all of that, it was you should have won, but of course football's not like that. I think I've heard you talk about the football gods, and some days they're smiling and some days they're not, and you can't predict all that.
No, you do need to finish, but sometimes it hits both posts, and you're like, oh, that's like a half a centimetre. How do you explain that? So, I think we've done well. They've done well. They've come good, and I like Jeff. He's great, so he deserves what he's got to.
In you understanding and your players understanding what success looks like, how important is it for you as a coach to also have the CEO, the chairman, and the board understand? So is it important that you're on the same page as them in terms of what success looks like?
Probably, but also maybe not. And by not, I mean, so they expect success, and success maybe to them means winning. We've not really had this conversation. But again, I say what I believe success is, but I also believe when we do that, especially if you've brought the best players together or good players or ones you think you can help, usually hand in hand comes the trophies. If you're good enough. So that's why I'd still aim for that. And then, end of the day, the CEO and that are probably like, oh, look at this, we've got some more trophies. But Ante loves winning. But and I do love them. That's it. I'm not going to say I don't. I do. But again, it's I'd rather, I don't want to win and we haven't worked super hard like that. It doesn't satisfy me. But it's they're supportive regardless. They've let me work on my own. So we really haven't had that conversation. Actually, it's interesting. Imagine I told them.
Ante, one of the questions we've started to ask probably in the last 6 months or so is the difference between aspiration and capability. It was a question that came up on a business podcast, but I thought it was really relevant for coaches, particularly nowadays. Every coach has got to have his philosophy and got to understand clearly the way they want to play and the way the team wants to play. You come in and you've got this philosophy about how you want to play, and there's this thing called aspiration. We want to do this. We want to play this way. We want to score these goals. We want to stop conceding goals. We want to go ahead and win things. The capability over the group that we're at this club with this group of players right here, right now, is this. How do you as a coach deal with that, the difference between the aspiration of what we want to achieve and the capability of where we're at today?
It takes time. Right now, I'm in a good place with Sydney FC. Let's use them. I'm with Olympic, obviously, as well. Actually, Olympic, I'm in a good place too. But let's say Sydney FC, because most know me from that.
Yep.
We've been there 5 years. It's got me to a place now. I've got 20 players who probably tick off both. Who I'm like, okay, they can do what I want because I've brought certain people in. However, so in the thinking of it, for me as a coach, defence is easy to coach. You can get anyone to do that. So that for me, defence. Every team I have, I can guarantee will be tough to break down, regardless of knowledge or whatever. I just believe that. The difference in attack, it's probably aspiration there. If you don't have players like a Vine, Princess, Remy, are you going to score? Are you going to be dangerous? I don't know. Maybe you got to then change how you play. You hit the short and the long. So you got to have the right players. But for me, it took a little bit of time to get to that, even though it was still successful. But it wasn't exactly how I wanted the players. But we brought them in, and now we're in a real good place where you can sort of do what you want. Sometimes the girls technically can be let down, but they're really impressive. Yeah.
I'm really interested, Ante, in doing the research here. I'd forgotten this. I actually did know it. We went through a period of time where we had some Australian under-14 teams, which I'm assuming was a part of identifying them for the under-17 World Cup nice and early. And there were a couple of football festivals. And I know you were the under-14 coach for a short period of time. I'm not quite sure how long it lasted. Can I ask you how that came about and what that experience was like? And maybe that same question, the aspiration and capability of kids at that age, at that level?
Yeah, it's. I wish I remembered all the names. I've got it somewhere. I've got their pictures, but someone in the A League now, like the Silver. There's a couple of others, but I just can't remember. Senator Warland. So there's a few in the A League. So it was nice to be part of them. But that was interesting. I think I was Westfields or teaching. I can't remember again the exact dates. But Harnberger asked me to be that coach. Harnberger, actually, funny enough, asked me to be Skillaroo's coach, which was the same kind of time. I had that program.
Yep.
He asked me to come in and coach someone else and so on. And I just said no to everything. I just wasn't, $10,000 come and do this full time. So it was, but anyway, then what happened? We had, for some reason, in Asia, they had this festival of football and everyone had to go. So all the confederations had to go. And it was 13s one year, then 14s the year after, or 14s and then 13s, something like that, to follow, like you said, the age groups. It only lasted 2 years, and then finance, but it was good fun. It was it was mayhem. So we had like 10 games in 10 days, something crazy like that, playing Myanmar, Laos, I think China, Japan, all those teams. But again, the way I approached it, and I do with kids, this is probably where I'm different to everyone else. I look for what I think the future looks like. It's tough because you don't have a crystal ball, but again, I think my past results have shown I'm pretty good at that. But I pick the players for the future, not necessarily to win. And I'm strong enough mentally to go, if we win 10-0, no problem, as long as that kid becomes an international or goes to A-League or something. So that's what I did. No one really gave me, again, it was like a free reign. So no one told me anything, just pick your team, and that's what I did. But it wasn't very structured. We didn't really, I don't know where I picked them from. It was like a nationals 1 week or something else. So it was very, a bit random, but it was a good experience. I enjoyed it, and it was in the FFA for the first time.
Yeah, that was nice. And then you also were with FFA as the women's technical director for 3 or 4 years as well.
Yeah, so that was a great experience. So that as well. So I started to coach in Swiss and was successful with them for a little bit, where we won the championship of Australia, whatever that is, for 2 or 3 years. And then out of the blue again, Hans like, all right, funny enough, he goes, this is the last time I'm going to offer you something. Let's see what he's going to offer. And he offered the assistant coach for Matildas. And I was like, oh, and I actually started teaching at Trinity and director of sport. And it's a beautiful job, to private school and you're in luxury
Yeah.
sort of. And then I thought, oh, you know what, I've got to take this one. I can't say no. So I went there. The job was 80% coach and as an assistant and 20% TD, which, you know, to help out home. That's sort of what it looked like. But it was good. That's when I went across, and I think I coached 2 years assistant potentially. I think there was an issue with Hesterine back then, the national coach. And then about 2 years after being a head assistant coach, they've said, well, I actually said TD should be full-time and get another or one or the other. And then they just said, which one do you want? And I sort of walked away from assistant, which I regret because I had such a good run. But I was part of it. I was there always at the tournaments, always with the girls. But I went TD full-time. And they got, I think, Ross Aloisi maybe. Someone, I think it was Ross.
Yeah. And that give you a taste for it? Is that a job you'd like to have down the track? Tilda's coach, Socceroos coach?
Oh, yeah, 100%, because I'm ambitious. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And Tilda's in particular, because I know the girls. I know I'll do well there. I hope that doesn't sound arrogant just because you know things there and what works, what doesn't. I've been around now 10, 12 years with girls, so I've known the young ones, the old ones. I've coached Caitlin Fords, Alana's, Lisa Devana. If you can coach Lisa Devana, you're doing all right. But she's great. We get along well. But yeah, it's again, I'd love to, but the reason why I went to NPL Men as well is because I realised in my head I'm ambitious. I want to become a professional. You know, a little bit like Ante. I'm going to give it a crack. I know I can do it. It's some luck and do it, and that's why now I've gone to the men's, because I thought my doors were closed a little bit with the girls. I'll be honest with you, even though things are going good. And I thought maybe I'll just delve into the men's. Yeah,
good on you. And I mean, it's an inspirational time right now. Obviously, Ange doing remarkable things at Celtic. Joe on the Muro at Juventus Women, which is after the success he had at Arsenal Women. Muskie's in at Yokohama FC Marinos. You know, Tanya Oxterby, assistant coach at Chelsea. There's a range of Aussie coaches doing great things around the world, and you know, I think we've all got our fingers crossed, hoping that when Ange has finished wings with Celtic, that maybe there's a Premier League opportunity for him as well. It'd be nice to see an Aussie coaching at that level. Yeah,
I was lucky enough to work with Ange in the Asia Cup. I was actually in that time. You probably don't know, the scout. They'd send me to Uzbekistan and Kuwait and whatever on my own, which was a bloody experience in itself. The analysis, and then bring it back to Peter, who was the assistant, and Ante Milicic, the assistants to Ange. So I did a lot of that for that year and a half, 2 years. It was so good. Yeah. That really, again, I have that sort of now for tactics. I like looking at games. But it was good for me. It was actually good to put it down on the computer, and that was a fantastic time.
I like that. I like that a lot. So, mate, how has your coaching changed over the journey? Or has it changed over the journey?
It's changed through experience. Not a lot has changed in terms of what I want. So I do harp on about certain things, and a good example is, and you said about style and philosophies and that. My style is to play quick, make sure you hit passes. So every training I'm like, hit your pass, and then little bits to it. But that then makes your style quick. You know what I mean? Regardless of what the pattern is yet. I don't go to that yet.
Yep.
As long as they realise it's quick. Defensive-wise, everyone works and backing each other up and compact and quick. And then that becomes your sort of DNA that you go back to.
Yeah.
So I learned sort of how to push people more with that and who I can push more. Some you can't at all. Some you've got to go, okay, you just play one time. You just run down this line. So that learning that has helped me a little bit. And the rest, you just experience and how you talk and what you do. Tactically, obviously, because you're coaching now. Everything's on you kind of thing. But again, it's sort of normal. It's who I am, I guess. Again, you learn from experience. I have changed in that sense, but sort of who I am. I don't think I've changed a lot.
Maybe because you're a teacher, and you know, I think when you start to do that, you're learning how to deal with people, and a number of times when we have this conversation, that it's the way that coaches deal with people seems to be the most significant change that they make along their journey. You know, which is understandable, because at the end of the day, it's about getting the best out of people. And I think you players have said quite clearly that you're a perfectionist. So if they win 3-1, as far as you're concerned, we should have scored 6 and they shouldn't have scored at all. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm a little bit like that, but I'll do it politely. But I am like that. Yeah.
Have you ever had a coaching mentor? Have you, formally or informally, or are there people that you look up to, or you sit back and you learn from on your journey?
I think FFA tried something, but not really. No. Again, I'm sort of. Funny, I heard Mourinho say this, and I'm definitely not a Mourinho, but I'm like this a little bit. They asked him, so who do you have the mentor? He goes, no one. What? And then they say, well, who do you look up to? He's like, no, it was me. I learned. And I was like, you know what? I'm a little bit like that. Yes, I got everything, but I didn't pick someone. I did when I played, like I said, Rijkaard and Juric.
Yeah.
Coach, no, it's my personality. I'm the same way I am now is the way I talk to my brothers and family and my niece and nephew. I'm just honest, direct. I'm simple with my words. I'm not, like a genius. So I'm simple with my words. You can probably see. It just works. It works for me, and I'm just me, and that works. So, yeah, I don't know, not really, but I did love Ange. I must admit, because he's I just loved his way he motivated, which is something I have learned a lot more, even though I naturally delve into things like history and heart and all that. But he was very good, he'd reached the right spot. So I don't know if he researched or what, but he was very good, or if he's naturally that. But he was, even the way he delivers and all that, you can see on the videos people have recorded. And that's what he's done so well. Like, people fight for that guy, to the hilt.
Absolutely. You're a football nut, so you may not have done this, but you grew up in Australia, which means you probably played cricket. You might have played some rugby along the way. Have coaches from other sports influenced you in any way, shape or form? You're looking at not necessarily tactically, but the way
I always look at it. I always look at quotes, how they talk. I love, even A-League, I watch, this sounds hopefully not rude, but I like listening to the coaches in their media conferences. And if there's new coaches, and in my head, I'm like, he's going to be gone in 3 months, or he's going to do well. I'm just listening, and that's how I think. I'm like, if I'm a player and I'm listening to those words and thinking that's how much I'm an idiot. I really like overthinking. Because if I'm a player, I put myself in a player's position, how I was, because I was strong-minded, and I'm like, okay, so I get that, I like that. So I've always been mindful of my words, to bring people along and not to be rude and but still be strong and be someone they're like, I'm going with this guy. Not be about me, which it's never been about me. So naturally it's already there. It's about everyone else. And I can sit back. I don't need plaudits. I don't need that. And again, that comes naturally. I was like that as a kid, probably to my detriment, but I was just doing the same thing across to coaching, but not really.
That strong-headedness, were you a difficult player to coach?
Probably later. Like, I was very polite. Like, I'll tell you my sort of career. 14 years old, I was a nut. So I'd throw the ball at people, 5-0 down, and I'd slide tackle the guy around the kneecap. So I was a nut. And then my brother, and I think my brother said, like, you're embarrassing yourself. And everyone, about 16, 17, I went quiet. I went like a mute. So then I'm just quiet and doing stuff. And then at 20, 21, you realise, I've got to talk. Then I became, you get older, more confident, like leading people, doing things. I did it by example rather than yelling. I yell a lot more now than I play, but it's more to help, because tactically they're probably not ready yet. Some of the girls, especially. But I forgot the question, but it was a lot. So I was a nut. So I did change. I was all over the shop a little bit.
We get wiser as we get older, don't we?
Yeah, hopefully. We do.
So why do you do it? Why do you coach?
Probably back to your first answer. I love football. That draws you to it. Would I do it if I was never a footballer and didn't love it? Maybe, because I love people, but maybe I wouldn't have the knowledge, and teaching's enough. But I love football. I watch it. I love watching the analysis. Like I said, I just love every part of it. Watching kids play, watching older people play. I just do like it, enjoy it. I like coaching it because it's around. So why am I coaching? Probably because I love it first, and then because I like it that much, and I think I'm good at leading people and want to, and then want to see people grow. Like, I love seeing my girls who no one knew get into the Matildas or get into the Sydney FC, and all of a sudden we're star-studded, but no one knew these girls at NPL. That's what I'm proud of. You find some gems, and then everyone says, it's Sydney FC, bling. but a lot of these were NPL players. Yeah, so that's what I'm happy about.
Good on you. Let's change track a little bit. Really interesting. Last weekend, Ante Milicic is walking away from coaching, football coaching. He's going back to Croatia apparently to live. And you go, wow, that's sort of, he's a young man, really. If you cut him in half and count the rings, he's on the, he's sort of midway through his coaching journey, and it's already worn him down. And it just makes you think about mental health and the importance of mental health, but also resilience for coaches. I wonder what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I'm again, I don't want to say the clubs, but Sydney FC for me is great. Like, it's real comfortable. There's pressure, but there's no one hammers you. Other clubs, even NPL, I'm looking at, it's ruthless and crap in a lot of ways. And by that I mean people abusing you. You're doing well, but people, F off this guy. It's not just me. I hear it with other teams.
Yeah.
And that does impact you. Like, again, I'm pretty good at putting in my head, just going, he's an idiot or whatever, walking away and being strong. But it does impact me now and again. I've turned around once, which I never do, and just said, mate, you know what? You should shut your mouth and just watch the game, which I hated doing. But I was like, I'm here to fight for my guys and myself, and because you don't get that in any other job. And I'm like, I actually said that to my sister-in-law once, who's a lawyer, and I was like, no one comes into your office and says you're shit or can yell out loud, you're this. So that definitely takes a toll, especially if it's year after year or you're losing and your job's on the line. Referees make a mistake or your players made a mistake, and things you can't control, and you're like, how do I get out of this? And mentally, if you're not strong, or it's been years of that, it is tough. Yeah, so I know where Ante's coming from. It can be stressful, and certain people have got no chance in football coaching because they're just not, they can't deal with that. And you can see the ones that break down, and because they show that to their players in a lot of ways. It's tough not to do it, but you've got to be strong to be always happy, always upbeat, not change your consistency. Takes time, takes a nut as well, like I said, to have that where it's like, I've got to be the one here. I sort of fake, I sort of act. I'm the one they're looking at. I've got to be strong. It is tough mentally, big time. When I heard him, it was sad.
Yeah, it's very, very sad. I'm just wondering about you. In the normal realm of professional coaching, you go through the pre-season, the season, the post-season. Hopefully, we're organising transfers, but you sort of get a break. You have at least a month off, or sort of a month off away from emails and transfer requests and players moving in and out and the planning for the next season. But you sort of mentally get a break from the day-to-day stuff. You, in your current role, don't do that. You're a full-time teacher, and you do Sydney FC women after that, and now you go roll straight into the New South Wales Premier League with Sydney Olympic. How do you unwind? Where's the time? What do you do when you're not coaching, or you kick the cat?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you guys know, but I actually resigned or said I wasn't going to coach to my CEO probably in December because of work and because of time. And I thought, okay, I've got to tell him they've got to find another coach. So I actually put in a thing, just said, let's just get another coach for next year. I think it's going to be too much. So it is tough. After that, I changed my mind after 3 months. I don't want to leave the girls. We're in a good place. I've brought them here. So, so I am staying again next year. But, it is tough. It's tough to unwind because, with the girls, we train at 6 o'clock in the morning. Most mornings. We've got some evenings. There is time, some afternoons at times for both. When it's the same time, then it's near impossible. It's every day till 9 o'clock. When it's separate, it's doable, but it takes a lot of time. And it is day one from January 1 to December 31st. Maybe again, like I need help, but I don't realise it. And who knows? I hope I don't get to that stage because I'm just doing it and I keep fighting. I'm like a fighter inside, and I've got good people around me, I guess. And everything's been not cruisy, but decent people around me thus far, from owners to CEOs to players. So it's been sort of all right, but I can imagine when things go tough, do I need a break? Probably. I probably do need a break, but I just don't realise it. I just keep going. So, I don't know.
Good luck with it, mate. And look, I couldn't agree more. Being able to surround yourself with good people is just the key to most success. Obviously, as a coach, you can control some of that, but you can't always control the club and the board and the chairman and the CEO. So it's great that all that comes together for you. So all power to you.
Yeah.
Mate, you've had an incredible run, grand finals, left, right and centre since you've been the Sydney head coach. What's been some of your most enjoyable moments on your journey thus far?
There's been obviously individual ones. The grand final was a great day because we were unbelievable. So that was 2-3 years ago when we won, and Huerta scored that bomb, and we were the best team by a mile, playing attractive, and that's nice. When you get a team, you're like, wow, look at this. This is everything's coming together. That's nice. Obviously, having the 5 grand finals means successful. But for me, the biggest joy comes from, so again, identifying certain players. A lot of kids we brought at 14. So we've got Mary now at 14. Taylor Ray came at 14. So players then, no one's told us to see them, but we've seen them and picked 1 or 2 out. Who else is 14? Charlie Rule came at 14. Nashi, I brought her at training at 14. So they didn't sign, but they were training for 2 years. So again, people think they just come from Woolman like this, but we've actually looked at them. I'm proud of that when they become better and better, and all of a sudden at 16, 17, you need to sign them and they stay with you because they know you care. That, and also bringing other players like Vine, who rarely started or played at Wanderers and other places. Remy didn't score a goal at Wanderers when she was there. Come to us, and Claire Wheeler was great, but never in the national team. Come to us and then just fly, and then because we've got something to do with it. It's not all of us, but whatever we're saying and doing in the environment, it makes them give them belief for whatever it is. But that's what I'm real happy about. And that's sort of how I try and sell it to the girls. I go, we're a club that's going to make you better. So, you want to come with us. Sometimes, you've got to be able to handle it, the pressure and the thing, because there is big pressure. But that's what I'm most happy about when you see. Sadly, you do lose 1 or 2 players who get down or go worse potentially, and that hurts you. But, sometimes someone doesn't blend with you or the way your style is, or you can't get can't get 20 players in 11, so they lose their focus a little bit. But, I'm most happy about just helping those girls get to where they need to and having a little part in that.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a great job with that, mate. What are some of the valuable lessons you've learned along the way?
You got to, well, again, I don't know about learnt, but it was always me, but I do want to care for everyone. Like everyone's emotional. It's their life. Sometimes you don't know what's happening with people. That's why I'm always a little bit soft when I find out. You don't know why they play bad. Yeah, they play bad, but you take them off, but it might have been some issues at home. So you always try and be soft, some kind of place. Still got to be tough because you still got to, especially sitting and seeing Olympic, because it's necessary. It's the top level. I've probably learnt that to deal with that a bit more, probably be a bit more. And even though I think I'm approachable, I am sometimes intimidating. I'm 6 foot. I don't say a lot. I say things like direct. The girls know I love them, so they do. But I still think that as well. I've got to learn how to be a bit more. And I do. I go to the girls and chat and how you going, and always jovial. But I probably don't go beyond. I'll get to training, do my thing, have a good laugh, train hard, and then I'll leave. I won't hang around and go too much. Maybe it's because of work, but I've learned that's important though, and I'll try my best at it because I know my flaws too. And probably listen more to people, like having good people around you and listening more, because I am very confident and probably overly direct and thinking I know, this is what I want, this is what I want to do, and I've got to listen more. And I have done in the last couple of years with assistants, with subs, certain players, potentially they're going, I saw that girl. So I've done that more, where you're sort of, and that maybe it's age, you're sitting back and you're like, okay, let them have a bit more of a crack than me. So that's probably the biggest thing I've done or learnt.
I love that the softness and the toughness as well. I found a quote. I think just after Stage was sacked from the Matilda's job, you said something like high standards are not a form of bullying. Can you is that what you're talking about there? That the difference between the softness and the toughness? You've got to be. If a girl misses a pass, I'll tell her you need to be better at that pass. You need to hit it. You've done it once, you can get it 100 times. Let's go again. I'll keep going. That's driving a standard. If I say that is effing this and crap, and someone else misses one after her, but I don't say nothing, that's now you're targeting someone. So I'm consistent. I'll hammer Lisa Devana just as much as I'll hammer the 14-year-old. I'll probably do the heading, but that's, again, I'm sort of in a zone where I don't see faces. It's like, that's probably what I mean. But yeah, it's 100%. Again, you've got to watch your words and certain people, but
that's standards of driving and expectations. That's not bullying at all, not even close. But some people don't want to come along with it, and they're scared of it and need an excuse. Maybe they use that. But again, you've got to watch your words. Probably more so. And if it's constantly to one player, not another, then maybe that is. But
yeah. No, that's a great insight. Thanks for sharing that, mate.
Yeah.
So we've mentioned the not winning on grand final days, but and I know what the answer is going to be because you've been talking about your players all the way through. But what does success look like for you as a coach?
Yeah, like I said, success, building a good culture, having a team where we play as a unit. So that for me is success. Yes, you want to win. Again, I do want to win. I'm not going to say I don't. But everything I do, what I believe will get us winning is success for me. So working hard, respect for each other, a good understanding our defensive DNA, the attacking DNA. And when all that works, it's perfect. When our culture is perfect, I love that. That's success for me in a lot of ways. As a coach, bringing that in, it's hard to do. It's not easy. And again, when you have that and you've got good players, the thing is, I could do that exact same thing at Sydney FC as I do at, let's say, Canberra last year, and I won't win. We might be better because we're more organised, but I won't win because I'm not a bad coach, but I don't have Vine creating excellent things. I did bring Vine in. She wants to stay at us, so that's a positive. But it's the same coaching, same thing. You're pushing people, but I don't have that sucker. So is who's more successful? In a sense, if I coach, but that's So what is success? That's why I always say, what is success? Yeah, you want to win, but depends where you are, who you got, what you've built, where you get to, and as long as they give everything, that for me is success. Probably something to ignore here.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot. I've got to ask you a question about culture. It could be another podcast, and I think we should do this because I love building culture. I love talking about culture. I love people's different take on it. But how do you build a culture within a new group from day one? What does a great culture mean to you as a coach, and what does it mean to the players?
It means everything for me. Firstly, it's standards, but the way I'm going to explain it probably is not the right. And you can build something or try by the way you are. So if I'm respectful, I don't. If someone yells at someone, I stop it and nip it in the butt straight away. They see what your standards are. That's one bit. However, I'm also a strong believer that if you're not that person, selfless, and don't want to be that, I can't make you fit in our culture. I need to move you on. Plain and simple. So certain people don't fit. So as a coach, I'll get the right personalities, which is where we're at right now. And probably last year I might have had one or two that didn't fit that. When you've got one or two that don't fit, you're still in a good place. But then you've still got to potentially move people on. That is the best way to get a culture. And then obviously they respect, they follow you because they like a person that's respectful. We'll talk well to them. We'll do the right things. We'll have his standards, but follow it and be consistent. We'll treat you the same as a superstar. That then they look at you going, oh, okay, this guy's got us. He's got our back. He's not going to flip up and down, inconsistent. He's genuine. That creates a culture. If you've got the great people, if you've got 10 rat bags, you do that, they're going to go, hey, let's get stuffed, and they'll go in their group. So you can make it, but also I'm a big believer you've got to get rid of people to make that perfect, especially senior football. That's probably an easy answer.
Yeah. No. Well, there's nothing easy about it, and at the end of the day, being able to talk about culture and being able to build one are two very, very different things. Yeah. And my belief is that it's very difficult to have success without one. Thanks for sharing that again. I appreciate it. Can I just check one other thing? By standards, are we talking about behaviours on and off the football field?
Yeah, everything. Standards of, again, let me give you a perfect example. If we're taking a goal off, I'll be around to help where I can. I'm like a cripple now, but I'll try and help. But you see the people that'll go and help. So if Teresa Pliers, who's tiny, can go and help, then I'm going, yeah, you're for my culture. If someone has a shot, a bad touch, are you the one to abuse her, or are you going to go, yeah, come on, let's go, you can do better? And you can see that straight away. So again, last year I had probably two players who were probably more on the effing give me the ball. And I was like, okay. So you sort of pick it out and you've got to deal with it. And I can't, I've made them quiet because I don't accept it, but it's still inside them. You know what I mean? They've still got that little bit of anger. So, and not everyone can be the same because you need that tough one, but that stuffs up your culture. If you've got too many players like that who play someone else or gang up on someone. So that's probably what I'm good at, is eventually getting to that, because you can see the good people, the hard workers, but who are still good footballers. Again, it's an easy way, but it's a long way. At Olympic now, I think we've got a great culture, and that's taken 3 years too. You know, so.
Yeah. No, thanks, mate. Really appreciate that.
No.
Okay, downhill run. Final question for today. If you have one piece of wisdom you could share with a coach that doesn't matter where they are, at the beginning, in the middle, or close towards the end of their journey, one piece of wisdom that you would share with football coaches, what would it be?
One. Probably be yourself is probably the best, but just be genuine, true to yourself. Don't try and be Joe Blow or whatever, because people can see through that. And then be consistent. So if you're genuine, you'll be consistent. You can't say one thing and do something else and do that and tell one person this. So be genuine to yourself, because it comes out genuine and people love that, I think. And then just consistent with what you do.
Yeah. No, thanks, mate. I love that. And thanks for being genuine today. It's been a great insight to thinking of Ante Juric, head coach of A-League's women at Sydney FC. I'm still not quite sure how to go around. And head coach of Sydney Olympic in the New South Wales Premier League, and director of sport at Matraville Sports High. Thanks, mate. Really, really appreciate your time today. So thanks very much.
No, thanks. Great questions. Thanks, Gary. You're a legend. Thanks, mate.
You've been listening to the Football Coaching Life, a podcast brought to you by Football Coaches Australia and Making Media, the podcast professionals. If you've enjoyed our conversation today, you'd like any more information about Football Coaches Australia, please go to footballcoachesauss.org.au.